Chapter 16. The Magic Art of the Great Humbug. Next morning, the Scarecrow said to his friends, "Congratulate me. I am going to Oz to get my brains at last. When I return, I shall be as other men are."
"I have always liked you as you were," said Dorothy simply.
"It is kind of you to like a scarecrow," he replied, "but surely you will think more of me when you hear the splendid thoughts my new brain is going to turn out." Then he said goodbye to all of them in a cheerful voice and went on to the throne room, where he rapped upon the door.
"Come in,"
said Oz. The Scarecrow went in and found a little man sitting by the window, engaged in deep thought. "I have come for my brains," remarked the Scarecrow, a little uneasily.
"Oh, yes, sit down in the chair, please," replied Oz.
"You must excuse me for taking your head off." Oh, famous last words there.
"But I shall have to do it in order to put your brains in their proper place."
"No, don't do it."
So the lizard unfastened his head and emptied out the straw. Then he entered in the back room and took up a measure of bran, which he mixed together with many pins and needles. Having shaken them together thoroughly, he filled the top of the Scarecrow's head with the mixture and stuffed the rest of the space with straw to hold it in place. When he had fastened the Scarecrow's head on his body again, he said to him, "Hereafter you will be a great man, for I have given you a lot of brand new brains." The Scarecrow was pleased and proud at having the fulfillment of his greatest wish, and having thanked Oz warmly, he went back to his friends. So he could have just put a couple of needles in his head and avoided this whole journey. Well, you live and learn. Dorothy looked at him curiously. His head was quite bulging out at the top, with his brains. "Oh. How do you feel?" she asked.
"I feel wise indeed," he answered earnestly. "When I get used to my brains, I shall know everything."
"Why are those needles and pins sticking out of your head?" asked the Tin Woodsman, and it was an excellent question from him. I am asking the same thing. "It is proof that he is sharp," remarked the Lion. "Well, I must get to Oz to get my heart," said the Woodman, so he walked to the throne room and knocked on the door. "Come in," called Oz, and the Woodman entered and said, "I've come for my heart." "Very well," answered the little man. "I shall have to put a hole in your breast so I can put the heart in the right place. I hope it won't hurt you." "Oh, no," answered the Woodman. "I shall not feel it at all." So Oz brought a pair of the tinner's shears and cut a small, square hole in the left side of the Woodman's breast. Then, going to the chest of drawers, he took out a pretty heart made entirely of silk and stuffed with sawdust. That sounds like a letdown. "Isn't it a beauty?" he asked. "It is indeed," replied the Woodman, who was greatly pleased. "But is it a kind heart?" "Oh, very," answered Oz. He put the heart in the Woodman's breast and then replaced the square of tin, soldering it neatly where it had been cut. "There," he said. "Now you have a heart that any man might be proud of. I'm sorry I had to put a patch on your breast, but it really couldn't have been helped." "Do you want a surgeon, or do you want a lizard in a medical emergency?" "Never mind the patch," exclaimed the happy Woodman. "I am very grateful to you, and I shall never forget your kindness. It's called the placebo effect." "Don't speak of it," replied Oz. Then the Tin Woodman went back to his friends, who wished him every joy on account of his good fortune. Now the Lion walked to the throne room and knocked on the door. "Come in," said Oz. Again, why is he doing this one at a time? I don't know. "I have come for my courage," announced the Lion, entering the room. "Very well," answered the little man. "I will get it for you." He went to a cupboard, and reaching up to a high shelf, he took down a square green bottle, the contents of which he poured into a green gold dish beautifully carved. Placing this before the Cowardly Lion, who sniffed at it as if he did not like it, the lizard said, "Drink." "What is it?" asked the Lion. "Well," answered Oz, "if it were inside of you, it would be courage. You know, of course, that courage is always inside one, so it really cannot be called courage until you have swallowed it. Therefore, I advise you to drink it as soon as possible." The lion hesitated no longer, but drank until the dish was empty. "How do you feel now?" asked Oz. "Full of courage," replied the lion, who went joyfully back to his friends to tell them of his good fortune. Okay, what happens when he, pees it out? I don't know. The lizard's not thinking things through. Oz, left to himself, smiled to think of his success in giving the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman in the line exactly what they thought they wanted. "How can I help being a humbug," he said, "when all these people want to make me do things that everyone knows can't be done? It was easy to make the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Woodman happy, because they imagined I couldn't do anything. It will take more than imagination to carry Dorothy back to Kansas, and I'm sure I don't know how it can be done." And, is that the end of the chapter? I guess that's it.